Hey everyone, welcome to the Awesome Deck. Hope everyone's awesome as always. Just wanted to put a video out today to acknowledge the current plans for PlayStation to release the PlayStation Portal handheld streaming device November 15th, next few months. Um, I had initially been working on doing another video, doing some uh, field testing between my Steam Deck and my virtual bridge connection that I've been utilizing to do remote play to my PlayStation through my Steam Deck using a virtual network bridge to spoof an authenticated connection um, from my Steam Deck to my PlayStation, utilizing the program Moonlight installed to my PlayStation, and then using that to connect to my laptop that has a version of Chiaki installed that has been um, associated to my NVIDIA GeForce Experience software to be able to mimic an authenticated connection that you could otherwise get in more direct methods. And from there, my laptop would connect to the PlayStation utilizing the Chiaki software. Uh, and I'll be honest, the last time I went out and did a test with it, I was able to stay connected for roughly an hour before I decided to just pack it in and shut it down. I unfortunately was still experiencing far too much latency due to the virtual network bridge configuration. Um, because the Steam Deck has to first connect to the laptop, and then the laptop has to then connect to the Steam Deck, it's creating a bottleneck in the chain because there's constantly information coming from both ends that have to be interpreted by the laptop intermediary device, and so it ends up just causing a lot of latency that could be more easily avoided with a few alternative options. And so, as much as I've enjoyed researching how to get remote play functionality to work on my Steam Deck, I'm here to say today that I probably will only deal with that in a hobbyist kind of introspective, what can I learn from it going forward. Because unfortunately, it is not a robust enough connection to rely on to easily say, hey, just buy a Steam Deck and don't worry about any of these other things. Because there's currently a lot of videos coming out right now about the PlayStation Portal, talking about whether or not it is a worthwhile purchase or even a well-defined device. And I'm sure most people, if they paid any attention to my previous videos a year ago when Logitech put out a cloud-based gaming handheld, I just flat out told people, don't buy this, save your money, get a Steam Deck instead, because this does everything that this device does and so much more. And because of that, I kind of went into the idea of the PlayStation Portal with a little bit of pre-existing biases, because I already have my Steam Deck, and I've been working on this thing for months, so I'm sure most people probably just expect me to say there's no reason to buy a PlayStation Portal when you can just get a Steam Deck instead. Well, that's not what I'm here to say today, actually. What I'm here to say today is that if you're interested in tinkering around with your Steam Deck, if you already have one, and you want to learn more about communication protocols and the process of how all these things kind of interoperate together, it is a worthwhile experience to go through to learn a little bit more. But in terms of an actual playable experience that's just good for day-to-day usage, I really can't even recommend what I've been doing to most people, because it isn't something that is beginner user friendly. Uh, it's not even necessarily easy for intermediary technologically minded people to completely wrap their head around or connect all the pieces that need to be put into place just to make it work. It's a very delicate, very fragile process to make something happen that it wasn't designed to do. And that's kind of fun and interesting, and a really cool kind of challenge to learn from. But it doesn't really satisfy most people's desire to just have something that just simply works. Which, for $200, $199 is going to be the initial cost plus tax, of course, for this new PlayStation Portal device that you see in the video playing just to the right of me. And I actually am here to say today that if you are the kind of person who just wants something that just works straightforward, all you have to do to establish a connection between the PlayStation Portal and a PlayStation 5 is set it up to do remote access. And what you're doing right there actually is you're establishing an authentication trust. It's the exact same thing that they do with Steam. They have a program called Steam Link that you can use to pair your Steam Deck to a computer system, which is what I've done to facilitate my process in getting into my PS5 from my Steam Deck. Because the computer is the connection port for this device, and the computer is also the connection point for remote play from my computer to the PlayStation 5. That's where I'm able to actually do the hacking to bring everything together and make it work haphazardly as it does. But what we're effectively doing is we're taking the authentication process that Steam currently does for computer to Steam Deck, and they're doing the exact same thing on Sony to go from a Sony PlayStation 5, which is ostensibly a computer, to your PlayStation Portal device, which will be like your Steam Deck, and you're just establishing an authenticated trust. That is all that the PlayStation Portal offers directly out of the box. The way that it is set up through the process of authentication serving, what you're actually receiving on the PlayStation Portal device is a video image and the ability to do data inputs from your controller. And so that is something that in my previous video to this, Video Ninja has been doing for the last few years, since it's really come into wider use after COVID. And what the Video Ninja is doing is it's creating an authenticated connection from your computer-controlled hardware device that has a camera on it, and it's assigning the IP address to a URL code. And because of that, any computer anywhere in the world that has access through the internet and has that URL code can then get direct access to the camera the hardware device that has been authenticated to that IP address. That's exactly what's happening on the PS5 to the PlayStation Portal connection. You are creating an authenticated connection, and ostensibly you're doing that preemptively before you do all the stuff so that it just works, because the trust has already been established prior to the engagement. So for $200, that is a very straightforward method. There are, however, a few other things that we can do, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit more today. There are other options other than just PlayStation Portal that are currently available and do cost less and have a few of their own, I guess, benefits and kind of areas where they're a little bit delinquent in dealing with the whole process. So the first thing that we should really do today, I guess, is kind of get into what the PlayStation Portal offering is. So, I was recently online checking my email, and I got this one from Sony telling me that the PS Portal console is now available to pre-order, and you can do that from their website. If you just click on the link in the email that they send it out to you. Otherwise, of course, you just go to PlayStation and just pre-order. They're available to be purchased on November 15th. In the next couple months, as I said earlier. But between now and then, I think that there's probably a bit of confusion that's still in the air for most people deciding whether or not they should make this purchase. And that's kind of why I want to make this video today, is to help give you a little bit of clarity on your options and what the drawbacks and benefits are with any of the given options that we currently have available. So with the PlayStation Portal, the interesting thing about it, if you have watched any of my videos previous to this that I've been doing, you can actually see that I've been calling what I've been doing the PlayStation Portal Bull since last year. I don't think that Sony took the name from me, but it is just kind of one of those interesting, silly things that I kind of, called this months ago when I first got my device and I was playing around with the concept of utilizing it to do a direct connection for remote play between my Steam Deck and PS5. Unfortunately, I was never able to figure out a way to do that because the Steam Deck is not authenticated, authorized, trusted hardware to a PS5 system. And that's due to reasons. However, the PlayStation Portal will be authenticated, and there will be a process in there so that you can do that. So what we're actually learning, or what I've learned from the last few months of what I've been doing in this, is that, and this is why I'm such a big fan of open source technologies, is everything that the new PlayStation Portal device is doing is already available and accessible and capable to be done. They just don't want you to be able to directly access it outside of their preferred user environment. And so effectively, the PlayStation Portal operates like a paywall to have remote access to your games. Now, for $200, one-time fee for an authenticated device so that you can make that connection, it's actually not a bad price for what you're getting If you're so invested in your PlayStation that you want to be able to play it remotely when you're, out at the lake or visiting family across the country or this or that, and you don't want to take a PlayStation 5 with you because, very expensive, very large, very, just kind of unbalanced to the equation of being able to really travel easily and also keep your system secure. A PS5 cost nearly $1,000 when they first came out, and getting everything all set up with it. So that's a lot of money in one device to take with you. If you were to damage it or lose it in travel, that would be very unfortunate and very costly to repair or replace. So, to some degree, the PlayStation Portal is going to offer people a little bit of security in that area and peace of mind and reassurance. It's a way to still have access to those games that you want to play, but also at the same time you don't have to worry about losing as much physical investment if anything were to happen to this device as opposed to a PS5. There are some interesting limitations, though, when it comes to the PlayStation Portal, and that, I think, is probably where you'll find most people's apprehension to it as a device. In terms of connectivity, it does not have any Bluetooth connection, so for most people who own Bluetooth headphones, they simply won't work. It does, however, have a 3.5 millimeter jack that is available to plug in a headset, so you can still get regular stereo sound, but you can't have wireless to get regular stereo. What they're trying to do with this system, quite honestly, in some ways, is they're using the PlayStation Portal device as an intermediary to convince you to buy into the the closed network connection of Sony authenticated devices. And effectively, they're trying to get people to pay for these new headphones that they've got coming out the next few months alongside this new PlayStation Portal device. So you can see right here, there is the Pulse Elite and the Pulse Explorer headphones that they're planning on putting out along with this PlayStation Portal, because if you want to have a better audio connection than just a wired set of headphones can afford you, this is going to be your only option to have wireless connectivity going into that device. And that's not because it shouldn't be capable of Bluetooth and whatnot. This is just an arbitrary decision on Sony's part because they want to ensure that everything works in the way that all of their models and investment can be focused around. And so to some degree, I understand that and I can appreciate that. However, as somebody who does understand technology and the way that it works, the difference between the Bluetooth broadcast signal and the wireless broadcast signal that you would have to use a dongle device to establish the connection to, say, your PS5 to use these headphones. That's already been built into this new PlayStation Portal device. So you'll be able to get full range audio that's not compressed, because Bluetooth compresses the data packet, and so because of that, you're not getting the full expression of what you're hearing coming through the audio channel. And so Sony is trying to make it possible for people to have a more fully featured, optimized experience to get the fullness of, these digital worlds that they want people to inhabit. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just they're kind of trying to nudge you into paying them a whole bunch of money, make it possible rather than making a decision based on your own understanding and investigating for allegiances. So that's kind of the big controversy that is coming out of this right now. Is there's a whole bunch of people saying that this device isn't worth it because it's just trying to get you to pay for these headphones. And to some degree that's not wrong, but it does seem to be a little bit reductive and dismissive of the whole breadth of situation. These new headphone devices do operate as Bluetooth devices themselves, so you can use them with other devices other than just your PlayStation. You can connect them to use, with phones, computers, this and that, and because the Bluetooth channel is running separate from their proprietary audio that they're using, you're able to have both of those signals run in parallel, so you can actually wear the earphones or the earbuds and play games and still have that connection also to your cell phone, so that you can take phone calls, play games at the same time. And so in that regard, they are giving you a more ease of use, high quality of life experience, but it's at the cost of $150 to $200 additional dollars to be able to have that kind of, it's nice, but it's not necessary. So to have that kind of luxury in your play setup, if you got the money and you're that invested in Sony, I'm not here to stop you. However, I would say that there are a few other options that cost quite a bit less if all you're trying to do is get direct access. Excuse me. You're just trying to get direct access from a handheld device to your PlayStation 5. You can already do that right now through the internet, anywhere in the world, provided you have PS5 controller. And so, because this is an authenticated device that you can create an associated trust upon. The way that you do it, though, is with your cell phone. When you set up a PlayStation or a remote play app connection on your phone, it will need to be authenticated to a PS5 controller. If you do that, then you will actually be able to have wireless connection from your phone to your controller. You'll be able to use Bluetooth at the same time. And in addition to that, you already own a phone most likely. And if you own a PS5, you already own a PS5 controller. And so this is the most straightforward option available right now and won't cost you any additional investment. Other than maybe if you want to keep one controller specific for your PlayStation 5, then it might cost you $70 plus tax, roughly, to get a PS5 DualSense controller. And as long as you have that authenticated device, then you can use a Android or an iPhone device to actually be able to connect these devices anywhere over the internet, because you're using an authenticated device that has been authorized by Sony, officially works. And so this is one of those things where you can still get the same benefit that you would get from having a PlayStation Portal device without having to pay that $200 fee. Of course, the limitation, generally speaking, screen size on a phone is going to be a little bit smaller than what you're going to get on the PlayStation Portal. I believe it's got an 8-inch diagonal screen surface area, as I recall. But you know, if you're just wanting to carry a device that you're already going to be carrying with you, and have a controller that you keep in a backpack, that's a pretty quick, simple setup, and doesn't really cost anything more than what you really have available, which is time to learn about it and how to set it up. But let's say, for some reason, though, that you want to do a little bit more with it than that. You could always, get another device that has been authenticated and authorized by Sony to work, and that, of course, would be the Backbone PlayStation Edition. And this device is $100 plus tax, of course, wherever you're at. That costs a little bit. But for $100, you're able to get direct access through an app that will even allow for you to do recording of videos and edit, and so you can make clips or do game streams, things like that. So I'm not sure if it does game streams though, but you can at least record your gaming sessions so that you could upload it later. But this device, like I say, costs $100. It plugs directly into the USB-C port on the bottom of your Android device, or if you have an iPhone, there's an iPhone version of this that works as well. And Sony and Apple are very tight, so they've got a very good connection. Wherever you're at, you just do that, it just works. For Android, however, you have to buy this specific PlayStation Edition for the remote play to work the way that it's intended to. But as you can see on this photo right here, there is a pass-through USB-C port, so you don't even lose access to your USB-C. So if you want to attach a battery to this, you could, in theory, even possibly connect a USB-C hub with hardwired internet connection and a HDMI out. I need to test this out, but I don't own one of these things yet. I'm very much considering buying one. We'll see. This might be, honestly, my preferred option going forward, because it's only $100 for the Backbone device itself, which is $100 less than the PlayStation Portal device that will be coming out in November. So you save $100 right there. This device also has a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, so you can get that same quality of connection off of this that you get from the base connection on your PlayStation Portal device if you purchase one when they come out. However, the PlayStation Portal is not going to allow you to use your Bluetooth connection to connect through the Portal device. So if you want to be able to utilize your Bluetooth headphones that you probably already own, then you can save $100, use your Bluetooth, and have all that connectivity options that are available that you would have on the PlayStation Portal device for the base, and then a little bit more initially. The audio quality that you get on the PlayStation Portal, if you buy their high-end headphones, of course, is going to be far more robust than the Bluetooth that you'll be able to, connect to your phone on this Backbone setup. But even though the audio of Bluetooth might be a little bit compressed. Quite honestly, I listen to a lot of lossless audio music myself, but I also walk around most everywhere I go wearing Bluetooth wireless headphones. And so even though I've got like really, really high quality audio files, I am still compressing the broadcast of the audio itself when it's being converted into a Bluetooth packaged signal. And I'll be honest, I could probably have a more shiny, robust audio solution if I use just a direct wired connection, which you can also do on the backbone itself. So if you want to have access to a little bit of more fidelity in that regard, that might help. However, depending on how they're packaging the audio and delivering it through the data transmission, it might be one of those things where you're not really going to notice all that much. And so that's really where a lot of this stuff comes down to, is how much are you willing to invest to get to the end goal? Because for the cost of a PS5 controller, like $70, and your cell phone, you can have remote access through the internet. For $100, you can purchase this backbone device controller and have that same level of authenticated access for a few dollars more. But you can also use this controller for other things. But you can also use this controller for other things. So between these two devices, either a PS5 controller or a backbone controller, you can save a little bit of time and overall investment if you're not that invested in, oh, well, I want to have the most high-end audio capable. I want to if you don't need it and you don't want it, don't feel as though you're compelled to only go along with this one solution of the PlayStation Portal streaming handheld. And that's only to say that, if you want to have a little bit more, possibility and options to meet your specific needs rather than trying to fit yourself into the wants and the desires of this larger corporation, of course they want you to spend your money and your allegiance. They want you to give over to them, and that's the reason for making these closed circuit network systems, which I am not a fan of primarily. I far prefer open source networks that allow for variation and customization. But in doing that, a lot of these companies give up their authority to the customer, and that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to have anytime you need something, you come to me. They don't want that to be something that you think about. They want that to be like a compulsory kind of snap to it. That's where I go to. These are people who serve me, and you in turn serve them by providing them their service environment, which is kind of an interesting kind of thing when you really think about all that we give to these companies to receive nothing but their lowest cost effort. They are far more invested in themselves than they are you or I. And they're trying to coerce you and I to be who they want us to be, to meet their preferred outcome. And so that's the reason why this PlayStation Portal device doesn't have direct Bluetooth access. Because if you had direct Bluetooth access, how are they going to entice you to spend $150 to $200 on these high-end headphones? Right? So they're trying to take your want and desire for ease of access and not having a cord between you and the thing. So if you want to pay for that, then you'll pay for that at their cost. But if you want the value of being able to, have access to your PS5, but also still listen to your Bluetooth headphones that you already own, and all this other stuff, then a backbone device is probably your best option. I don't own one of these, so I haven't been able to test out all the possibilities of it, but I am highly considering purchasing one now that I've done a little bit more research this week. If I were to do anything other than what I currently am doing, which is either using my Steam Deck to spoof the connection through an intermediary device, causing a whole bunch of latency, or I can just do the most straightforward thing, quite honestly, and that's just install the Remote Play app onto a phone with good internet service and unlimited internet and a good hotspot allowance would probably be the best thing that I could really suggest, because you're still also going to need to have the third-party internet access to use your PlayStation Portal. So if you're already going to be carrying your phone with you to provide the internet to the device to have access to these things, why not just have it all be that one device and save yourself a little bit more space, time, room, iteration, whatever. And so that's what I'm going to probably, start testing going forward. I'm looking to get one of these backbone devices and see how I can use it beyond just the straightforward, plug your phone into it and just use it as a controller and do remote play connection and so on and so forth. I'm kind of intrigued to see if I can turn a backbone enabled a backbone enabled cell phone into an effective device to be, a little bit easier to carry around than even my Steam Deck is. It's not to say that I would get rid of my Steam Deck ever. It is an amazing piece of hardware that you can use for more than just playing games, and that's why I was working on doing that video series, was to kind of show that there's more to this device than just what's straight out of the box or straight out of the advertising. And I kind of would be interested in doing the same thing with the backbone device. PlayStation Portal device is intriguing to me. If I had enough financial freedom to just pick it up indiscriminately right now, there's a part of me that kind of thinks, oh, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to have that ease of access without having to go through all the stuff that I've been trying to do with my Steam Deck? And, for some people, that's definitely worth $200 of their, time investment, their care investment, their, to not have to deal with the frustrations and the, start-stop nature of testing out hardware like I've been doing. So if you see enough value to say $200 is an effective ticket price to have going forward from that point, unfettered access to your PS5 remotely through the internet, it's a fee. It's definitely a fee, but it's not the biggest fee that I've heard of. And it's not even as annoying as, say, the service model that PlayStation is raising the price on for their PlayStation Network. That, to me, is a little bit more taxing than a one-time $200 purchase. The idea that your PlayStation membership is going up, another, like 30%, 35% of the price across the board. So, they're going to nickel and dime you. They're going to get the money out of you one way or another to utilize their network. And that's where you have to start kind of saying to yourself, or at least I do, is this worth it? Am I being served, or am I the one doing the serving? Because if I only doing what my benevolent, authoritarian, corporatist masters would want, then I'm not actually going to, have any autonomy, any agency myself. I effectively just become an agent for the agency of Sony. And Sony agency is to make money, make a profit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some rant against, kill all businesses. But with that said, though, corporations have far too much power, and they are very anti-capitalist, because capitalism requires a thriving, robust, abundant, open market to have competing good ideas come to the forefront to affect things. Whereas a corporatist controlled market is closer to a concept of feudalism and tokenization. And in many ways, that's what this device is kind of setting up. If you buy the PlayStation Portal, which I'm not saying don't go ahead and get it, but if you were to buy this device, it is going to be encumbered with limitations specifically so they can nudge you into spending even more money to have the fullness of the experience that could have just been available if they gave a shit about you in the process. Now, they will advertise to you what they're doing is giving a shit about you. But what they're revealing by not giving you an option to just say, thanks, I appreciate what you're doing, but I've got this. That is the revelation of their malicious intent, the insidious nature behind it all. And that's why I say a backbone is not a bad purchase, because it does have Bluetooth access, right? Because it's just connected through your phone. It has the internet because it's a phone with internet connection. So you don't even have to get a phone to make your phone work. Like you wouldn't have to with the PlayStation Portal. You need to rely on either open public Wi-Fi access or, a private Wi-Fi hotspot that you either have through your phone or a private network that you're nearby and are trusted enough to have access to. So more than anything, what we're actually learning is that these companies are more interested in selling you a empty promise that you have to fulfill by giving them more money than by actually just bringing more value to your situation. They want to bring more cost, because if they wanted to bring value, they would actually just give you things that worked and worked fully featured from the start. So that's why I think that this backbone device is actually a pretty good option myself, because it still has the Bluetooth access, which most people, that's their biggest complaint about the PlayStation Portal, is that you either have to have a hardwired headphone jack connected headset and be tethered to the device, which most people don't want, or you pay $150 or to $200 more with tax to get a wireless solution. And, that solution will give you what you want, but the benefit is not for you in that instance. The benefit was for the corporation, that's trying to carve out a space for itself. And so the way that they've figured out to do that is to give you no other alternative. Because, as I was saying before, most people, Bluetooth has good enough sound quality. And, if you're not an audiophile and that's not your extreme interest, it would be very presumptive of me to, incline upon you that this is the only way that you can enjoy my stuff is to do it at the highest cost and with the most latest high-end technology. Not everybody is built like that. They sure, I like the band, but I don't want to be a fanatic. The point that yeah, we've reached a point with most corporate um, hierarchies that they are trying to ostensibly tokenize us all and make us beholden to their overall initiatives. And their best way of doing that is by a whole bunch of razzle dazzle, show and tell, smoke and mirrors, and trying to get you to make a decision before you thought it through. And that's kind of the reason why I'm making this video today too, is to just to give people a little bit more information, to give people a little bit more possible options and opportunities that they could utilize instead of just saying, all right, well, I guess I got to pay $200 to be able to do this thing. It's $200. If you're paying that to Sony, just know that that $200 to Sony is just an invitation to pay another $200 to Sony. Ultimately, that's what they're trying to do. Unless you're fine to just listen to, either free form stereo without headphones, open air, or if you don't want to wear headphones. It's a really interesting kind of thing. It's like an arbitrary part of the equation where they're like, oh, well, you think anybody's going to notice if we do this? And if we go and we box it up and try to say, well, we did this for this and this and this, yeah, but you could have put Bluetooth reception in there as well. And it really wouldn't have had an effect on the cost all that much, quite honestly. But if they invest in you by saying, hey, we want to enrich your life, and here's possible, then you might turn around and say, hey, that's great. I'm glad you've done this, and I love the technology that I'm using right now. I trust you, and you've done this good thing. I'm going to reward you by actually buying the headphones that you have offered because I dig it, right? That's like a natural, organic kind of reciprocation of care. This is not that. This is we've actively decided to remove this particular component, so you now have a detriment in your ease of use, and so you either have to go back to doing something that you didn't want to do for the last 20 years, and because I've been wearing wireless headphones for at least 20 years. I don't really like wearing wired headphones, even though I like listening to high quality sound files. I don't like being tethered to things all that much. And so because of that, I take a little bit of a quality hit to the sound that comes through my headphones because I'm a pedestrian. I walk everywhere, right? And so being able to not be tangled up in wires, quite honestly, while I'm trying to navigate the streets is more important to me than having the highest quality audio sound, because I don't listen to audio just as a relaxation pastime. I'm actively walking around. I have to be focused and aware, and so I don't really even have all that attention to dedicate to what I'm listening to. And so when I'm out walking about, Bluetooth is more than sufficient. It meets not only my want and desires, but takes care of, so much more by just being reliant, robust, open source form of connection that I can utilize those same headphones with so many different things. It makes my life easy. And so that's why a lot of these protocols were made to begin with, was to improve quality of experience. But we're now kind of on the other side of the summit. We're on the downhill journey now. And rather than trying to earn people's trust in business and, patronage and, all that kind of good stuff, we cross the Rubicon. Businesses don't do business for this purpose of doing good business anymore. Businesses, by and large businesses, buy in large other businesses so that they can build themselves up and become an even bigger kind of obstacle to avoid. And so ultimately, you either have to give up on the thing entirely and go an entirely different direction, or you have to, deal with the obstacle and give into what it demands. And that is, something that I'll go into in other videos, because this is awesome deck stuff and I don't want to turn this into a big whatever. But if you are interested in hearing me rant on things like that, that'll be more available in the future on this channel, quite honestly. My awesome deck coverage, this is the final part in my Valve PlayStation Portal little series, because it serves no purpose for me now to continue on this endeavor other than for my own whatevers, right? And I've shared enough of that on the internet that if anybody's interested in it, they can possibly find it. I'm not going to try to dedicate all my time and effort and interest into doing something that ultimately is too, it's like trying to shoot, right? Hey, you want to sit here and smell my own farts with me? And I know you don't want to do that. So, I'm not going to sit here and just make a room that I can just fart in, chasing down all this awesome deck stuff that ultimately is just about me spending my time. But it doesn't benefit anybody else other than me. So, it's definitely something that I still have an interest in. But I don't feel that it's worth making long videos about all the tedious aspects of it, when, quite honestly, there are more straightforward solutions readily available that don't cost the amount of a Steam Deck. Even the lowest end Steam Deck costs more than a PlayStation Portal, a backbone, backbone for Android connected device, or a Sony PlayStation controller. Because in this situation, you've already paid for the PS5. Otherwise, all these other things are just... In terms of, if you haven't bought a PS5 yet, I would tell you, don't buy a PS5 just to buy a PlayStation Portal so that you can have remote game access. No. Get a Steam Deck. And then link it to your Steam account, and you can do the exact same thing. Because that's all Sony is doing, is creating a authorized, authenticated use device so they can have a client-server associated trust that immediately handshakes and creates low-level latency, because it's effectively just broadcasting a video signal and listening for, button inputs, and it's doing it all through a URL address, right? Just like the Video Ninja is able to simultaneously broadcast, on both of these screens. I can have this video that you're seeing side by side right now, I could replicate this infinitely. Someone, if I gave them the URL address in China right now, they could pull up this video of me and it would be playing at the same point in time. And that's all that these devices are doing, is they're taking the signal that's being broadcast out through the internet from your PlayStation on a URL address attachment, and then the authenticated device that you're using, be it one that is actually designed for it, or in my instance that I was doing with my Steam Deck, I was hacking the authorization authentication process to create that handshake. But because I was doing that using a Steam Deck connected to a laptop that connected to a PlayStation 5, the fact that I'm doing all that with a third-party intermediary device that's in the middle of it all, the meddling middle manager, and it slows down everything to where there is a 1-second delay between when I push a button and the action gets carried out. So, that quality of service is not going to improve unless I have a direct authorization association, which you can get now by just buying the PlayStation Portal that will be out in November, or by using a PlayStation Remote Play app on your phone that has already been set up as an authenticated device. That's all any of this stuff is. It's just a matter of recognizing authentication and being able to, have direct access to the processor in real time, basically. And so if they can serve that up using a URL address, they can keep the latency down next to nothing, and that's effectively what the Portal device is doing. That's what your Steam Link account is doing. That's what VDO.Ninja is doing when it goes and attaches a URL to the phone that's recording all this. And then I go and I just take that URL and I pop it into a browser, and it doesn't matter where I'm at, because everything's processing as it's happening, and it's just pulling that video feed that's being broadcast on that URL. So I think that this video has gone on a little bit longer than I was expecting it, but I knew that I was going to be talking about very nebulous things as applies to this. So the TLDR version of all this is, if you're interested in the Sony Portal steaming handheld device, it's not a bad cost, not a bad price. And if you're not interested in doing all this other silly stuff that I've been doing, don't concern yourself with that. Take care of you, but at the same time, know full well that if you do buy the PlayStation Portal, you will have to use a 3.5 audio connection out of the box purchase for the free air stereo speakers that if they're on there. Otherwise, you are just setting yourself up to have to spend another $200-ish. So pay half now, pay half later, or for half that cost, you can buy a Backbone PlayStation edition, and it does have to be the PlayStation edition. Otherwise, I don't know if it works quite as well, because there's a specific app that was written for the Backbone device, because it was done in association with Sony. That's why it's called PlayStation Edition. So that's where, for $100 less, I still got my authenticated device access, and that's all you're doing is just flipping switches, right? This one device has been designed for it, and for $200, you can get it. This other device has been licensed to be authorized for it for $100, and you can do it. This other device right here is sold directly from Sony for $70, and it's an authenticated device. So you set this up to work in conjunction with your third-party device, being the phone, and at that point in time, the authentication doesn't care about the phone other than the thing that's, serving up the visual. It wants your authenticated connection through this device because this is something that they got you to pay for. So that's what I would say about all these things is that, you know, they all have their pros and cons, and, you know, there are definitely benefits to using the different options, but based on who you are, you're going to see a different level of benefit, or you're going to be more inclined to one option or another. And so that's really all this video is here to do, is to just give you a little bit more information to process your thoughts. If you want to go spend $200 on the PlayStation Portal, I'm not going to stop you. In fact, I would probably even be interested in learning about it from you if you get one. But for me right now, I mean, $200 to do what I'm already able to do through my phone effectively, since I already own an extra controller and, you know, all this other like, that's working for me right now. The only thing that would make it more robust of an experience is, you know, like I can get my screen size the larger format, and that's the idea behind the PlayStation Portal. But I'm interested to learn if this PlayStation backbone will USB-C interface with a hub device that has an HDMI output and hardwire Ethernet connection. Because if it can do that, it might actually be the best solution of all the things that I've been sitting here talking about today, because it would still allow for more options and personal customization. And so, you know, that's more than anything. I guess what I'm saying with this video is buy whatever you want, but I would put my interest towards picking up the backbone device, which you can get through Amazon, or you can get directly through Backbone's own website. And if you want to pause to look at all the different features here, it's got some pretty good features. It does have a 3.5 millimeter jack and USB-C as well, you know, as I said before. And, you know, the only thing that you have to worry about in terms of the backbone working is that you have enough battery power on the phone itself. And you can use that USB-C pass-through port that's on it. You could plug a USB enabled battery pack, and then you got even more available time when you're just keeping your phone charged up. Hey, I'm starting to ramble a little bit and go and re-say things that I've been saying, but effectively, the main thing that I would say is figure out what you really want to have for your best use situation and plan accordingly. If you don't want to spend up to $400 at remote play access, you don't have to. You can do it for, you know, the cost of a PlayStation controller and a phone subscription and all this. But, like, well, in terms of additional costs, you already have the PS5. You don't even need to buy another controller. You just use that PS5 controller, Bluetooth connected to your phone, hardwire connected to your PlayStation, and, you know, that's going to be your lowest cost method to be able to do all these things. So that's it. It's whatever you do is going to cost you money. Figure out the best benefit for where your dollars go, so that you're investing in you, not the profiteering of some corporation. Now, if you want a reward Sony for providing you this robust service environment, all these things, and you're interested in having high-end audio capabilities, and you can afford it, get that. I'm not going to stop. Like, I would say get whatever is most effective for your situation. But to just simply say, oh, well, I'm going to pay $200 to get this device and then another up to $200 plus tax to optimize it, that does seem a little bit like a grift. Because all these things are already capable right now. And Sony's just effectively putting a $200 paywall into the process for something that could already be working. And not only could be, legitimately is. And so, like, with that said, thank you again for stopping by and listening to me go on about these things today. This is the last video in this series, as I said earlier, for the Valve PlayStation Portal series that I was doing. If you have not watched any of them previous to this, they are available on my YouTube channel. I will add this video into the playlist, and this will effectively be, you know, everything that you really need to get information on to do any of this stuff. But again, this is kind of pointless now, though, because it doesn't give you that good of a play experience when it's all said and done with, but it is interesting stuff to just kind of learn about on how technology actually. So, if you have spent however many hours I've been putting out videos dedicated to this stuff, I do thank you again and appreciate your support in whatever form that takes. And other than that, look forward to videos in the next few weeks on this channel. Are probably not going to be awesome deck videos. They will more than likely be videos regarding my other interests and, you know, those rants that I was kind of bordering on earlier. So other than that, hope you're all awesome as always going forward into your week ahead. Safe travels wherever you go. And again, do the things that people do here to show appreciation if you feel so inclined. If you want to lick the button, I'm all cool with that. I don't mind having wet thumbs. And if you're interested in seeing the weird things that I put out on the internet, go ahead and subscribe. It would definitely be encouraging to me. But yeah, taking too long. Great day. See you again on the next video. And be awesome as always.
John Richards, problematic white guy.